It is common to believe that opposition in a workplace is distasteful and counterproductive to attaining firms' objectives. Negative functions of this tension are undeniable. However, in the instance of careful management and negotiation, social systems can be positioned to benefit from controversy and debate. The struggles that permeate Patterson and Wilkins' law firm threaten the prestige and stability of this institution's long-term success. By conducting a thorough investigation into the firm's escalating crisis, our team has been able to dissect and interrogate core issues in group leadership, politics, power, culture, and conflict. Thus, proposing a set of recommendations we believe will remedy the situation before irreparable damage is done.
Today, the first topic we will be discussing is leadership, focusing on the impact on various stakeholders, exploring relevant theories, and providing a recommendation. At Patterson and Wilkins, the leadership approaches of Amanda Weston and Michael Johnstone are proving to show negative effects on the firm's culture, employee morale, and overall stability. Driven by a constant emphasis on billable hours and profitability, Weston's authoritarian approach creates a high-stress environment that stresses staff members, causing burnout and bad morale. Her lack of support for work-life balance creates a strict culture that is reluctant to change, which will prove to be difficult for people who prefer a more humane workplace. Johnstone's approach promotes mistrust, therefore increasing the firm's toxicity. Through subtle misogyny and attacks of reform efforts led by Sarah Handel, his strategies weaken team cohesion and encourage division. The resistance to inclusiveness and modernization supports an outdated culture in which merit has become reduced due to power dynamics. At the expense of employee well-being and long-term sustainability, both leaders give the company's remaining reputation and financial success top priority. Their combined leadership approaches challenge the firm's reputation, stability, and capacity to keep top talent, resulting in a highly divided and toxic work environment that compromises the firm's potential for success. We will now explore the various leadership styles and theories that could either benefit or show to be a disadvantage to the company. At Patterson and Wilkins, the dynamics of leadership show a conflict between transactional and transformational leadership theories. Focusing on strict adherence to firm standards, maximizing billable hours, and employing incentives or punishments to motivate compliance, Amanda Weston's authoritative, results-driven approach reflects transactional leadership. While this approach may show temporary profitability, it also causes burnout, poor morale, and resistance to change. By supporting cultural modernization, diversity, and work-life balance, aiming to motivate and encourage employees to reach their full potential, Sarah Handel reflects transformative leadership. However, her efforts face resistance from the old guard, highlighting the conflict between upholding the current status and the significance of drastic changes to guarantee the long-term survival of the business. To address the current challenges at Patterson and Wilkins, it is recommended that a shift towards more transformational leadership is taken. This approach would mean implementing leadership styles that prioritize inspiration, inclusion, and support for staff, therefore boosting morale and performance. It is recommended that the firm begins with Sarah Handel's strategy for modernization, which calls for improving out-of-date policies, boosting diversity hiring, and applying effective anti-harassment training. Leadership should be engaged in establishing a more encouraging workplace that celebrates employee achievements and work-life balance. Leaders that encourage empathy and teamwork will inspire staff members to match the long-term objectives of the company and stimulate creativity. Appreciating and celebrating success that supports the ethical and cultural transformation of the company will help to strengthen these positive changes. This change would not only increase satisfaction among staff and retention, but also help the firm maintain its competitiveness and reputation, therefore guaranteeing its long-term survival.
The way power is applied within the company Patterson and Wilkins has a direct impact on the employees. Two people are detaining the power, Amanda Weston and Michael Johnston. On one hand, Amanda Weston uses reward power. She uses bonuses, promotions to push the employee to reach their targets. But this creates a really tense atmosphere within the company. Also, employees are staying rather than missing out than for loyalty from the firm. There is a low job satisfaction and a high level of stress. On the other hand, Michael uses the expert power. Indeed, he is really qualified for his function. He knows about the legal field, but he is taking decisions by himself without consulting the wider team. So some employees feel frustrating and left from the decision-making process. For a better understanding of these dynamics, we refer to the theories of power, the phases of power. First phase is coercion. In this regard, Amanda's reliance on reward power would fall under coercion. While reward may feel positive, it actually coerces employees into fulfilling demands by the need for financial security or advancement, which generate a high-pressure environment. Second phase is manipulation. It's Michael's part. Michael controls the behind scenes on any given decision, and he ensures that he has the outcome he wants. Third phase is domination, with Amanda and Michael both using their power and too much power to dominate all the other employees that can't have real decisions. Fourth phase is subjectification, with the employees that are internalizing the expectations and pressures placed on them in the detriment of the job satisfaction. To help cure those numerous issues, we propose 3 decisions for the company. First would be shared decision making. Ensure that the employees can be part of the decision making process. Second would be preference reward systems, to change the reward system to have a new one that is healthy. The last one would be power audits, that involves that from time to time we review the power within the company, the balance. With all these measures, we will change the power within Patterson and Wilkins.
Our next topic to be discussed is the politics aspect of the law firm, in which highlighting the impact on stakeholders, main theories, and the solution to the dilemma within Patterson and Wilkins. Michael Johnstone, as the senior partner at the law firm, clearly has showed a strong level of political influence within the company and outside. As a master strategist and political operator, he has been described to blackmail his rivals, form alliances in any way that benefits himself, and a powerful gossiper as he uses rumors to undermine anyone that threatens his authority in any way. This has strongly affected his co-senior partner, Sarah Handel, who has been aiming for more inclusive and ethical policies, but has only been continuously shut down by the whisper campaigns and sexism utilized by Johnston, who only seeks to remove her from the equation, already sidelining her from key projects. In all, Johnstone's approaches with his political manipulation has only frightened other employees and created a fracture in entirety. As power and politics go hand in hand in workplace scenarios such as this, with Johnston quite obviously abusing both strongly in order to keep his influence and position, Buchanan and Badham firmly state that for a manager or similar to be successful, one must be politically skilled and have a strong power steering. And it's clearly shown that Johnstone does in fact succeed in upholding the business in this sense, but perhaps not in the employee's best interest, ethically speaking. The 5 phases that they discovered for political strategies consist of conception, launch, delivery, completion, and afterlife, all in which Michael and Amanda have either successfully fulfilled or are aiming to. Conception is where Johnston has utilized selling, position, and justifying to lower employees and customers. The launch, recruiting support being the main contender, as he strongly used his political influence to gain alliances within the company as well as outside, in any way, shape, or form to uplift his own position and the firm in general. Delivery, the highlight of steering as a point, where Johnstone gives the political influence as well as furthering the profits and other business goals discussed between the lines, as well as blocking resistance, which was evident with the sidelining of Sarah, and strong points to remove her entirely. And finally, the aim to fulfill completion and afterlife, but would be more beneficial to consider Handel's reform before acting. In a survey that Buchanan conducted with a wide range of managers in 2016, the overall conclusion was that the political influence in a business is extremely vital at some points, and may even be the ingredient to success, with 93% agreeing that most managers, if they want to succeed, have to play politics at least part of the time. So although many may view Michael as completely irrational and evil, there is always a play to a bigger game, and interlocking with Amanda's mindset, both will do anything to stay on top. In a recommendation to reduce the negative politics across the firm, I would strongly suggest involving other parties and stakeholders to conduct their say in the decision-making process, even as far as to introduce a union, as all of these decisions directly affect all the employees underneath the senior partners. Communication is key in situations such as these, so letting everyone have a fair say, as well as equality between teams are main topics. Since managing partner Amanda Weston has a strong sacrifice everything attitude, whereas Handel stands for a reform, introducing a third party to mediate and even come to a compromise would be the best solution, with some words of encouragement and team-building exercises to eliminate discrimination, the main being sexism, and a decrease in political abuse from Johnstone. Patterson and Wilkins can hold a stable firm in a more flat-style organizational system rather than a corrupted hierarchy.
The next topic is organizational culture in Patterson and Wilkins, how it impacts the different parties, what relevant theories can be examined, and how it to mend the current culture. Discussed earlier, Amanda Weston enacts an authoritarian approach to leadership, which can be seen in the culture she creates in the workplace. It is stated that she aligns with the firm's sacrifice everything culture. When considering the different levels of culture, sacrifice everything is a prime example of an espoused view, which are the intangible norms and beliefs held by an organization. These espoused views lead to basic assumptions, which is the underlying level of culture that influences the decisions and actions of all people. The espoused view of sacrifice everything leads employees to believe they must prioritize work over life and everything else if they wish to succeed within the company, which is evident when reported in the employee survey, which reported low morale, poor culture, and a lack of work-life balance. Fellow partner Sarah Handel views the law firm's culture as outdated, and she pushes for change such as a more inclusive and supportive policies. Deviance is the first step in breaking orthodox cultural norms, and Sarah wishes to create a progressive culture that prioritizes equity, diversity, and inclusion. Sarah challenging the current culture impacts both Amanda and Michael as they meet these new policies with resistance and illegitimate practices in an attempt to dismantle it. Equity, diversity, and inclusion is integral to the creation of a healthy workplace culture. Yet because Amanda and Michael already hold significant power in the current hierarchy, they view this change as threatening to the tradition within the law firm. For Patterson and Wilkins, it is recommended that all partners adapt to the policies and cultural changes being brought forward by Sarah Handel. While this solution doesn't satisfy all parties by going against the values of Amanda and Michael, it is viewed as necessary to accomplish the objective of resolving the conflict and bridging the divide before irreparable damage is done. Poor organizational culture can contribute more than just simple discourse between parties, as it can lead to a disregard of employee concerns, which was made evident in the employee survey, and can lead to institutional failure. Amanda and Michael wish to maintain the traditional culture, yet the very culture they wish to keep is the largest factor causing the divide in the law firm and will inevitably lead to greater issues. To avoid extending the current crisis and begin to create a more inclusive culture, all partners should encourage Sarah's policies that wish to empower employees, provide voices to all, and create a more supportive environment. This is a monumental step in enhancing the workplace culture, as employees will begin to feel valued in this new environment and be able to work more effectively due to a higher morale, which will maintain that competitive landscape desired from Amanda. Also, this new differentiated culture will support the voices of Amanda, Sarah, Michael, and all other parties with equal input and importance.
The dynamics of power in Patterson and Wilkins' law firm have been estranged. Imbalances in the ethos, expectations, and equality of the corporation have hindered their propensity for evolution, throwing the relationship between the three leading partners under the limelight. An annual feedback survey unveiled patterns in the decreasing morale and psychological well-being of the employee body. In the absence of a healthy work-life balance, low standards of satisfaction are multiplied and the seasoning of poor working outputs is unforeseeable. This self-destructive culture is an outcome of a sterile and obsolete system of operations. By engaging in a vicious power struggle, Weston, Johnston, and Handel have inadvertently broadened a horizon of unchanging dismay and inefficiency for their workers, their indolence and concentration on conflict trickling down into the practices of the firm. Production over people, capital over contentment, Amanda Weston's managerial approach is punctuated by her holistic and transactional mindset. Fragments of Taylorism embroil her leadership and position her as a player of rigorous micromanagement and scarce empathy. Her tunnel vision of success has propagated an ex-ante representation of the firm, where the profits and elitism of Patterson and Wilkins is pedestaled above the congeniality and well-being of its individuals. Emotional exhaustion for the workers has become a proximal outcome of Weston's overly assertive communication, intimidation, and lucrative incentivization. But ultimately, it is her intransient acquisition of change and inability to become a listener that has characterized her contribution to conflict. A Machiavellian estimation of Michael Johnstone's managerial role can be ascribed. Johnstone's long-standing endowment of knowledge and expertise has granted him an air of personal grandiosity and negative emotionality. His participation in collusion and use of caution and deliberate tactics to abet his leadership campaign demonstrate a negligence of social responsibility towards his subjects. By anachronistically devaluing Handel's authority as a woman, he realizes himself as a big and formidable player at the peak of an elitist workforce. Erosion in the workers' trust and confidence in Johnstone is also inevitable, as their interest and input are sidelined in his drive for absolute corporate power. The self-boosted esteem of Johnstone has therefore made him a relentless opposition to change and the powers that threaten his prestigious work and opinion in the firm. Sarah Handel's benevolence and developer leadership has made a shortcoming of managerial weaknesses. Handel's authority is developed, catalyzed, and strengthened through her primacy of voice and emotional recognition and solidarity of those around her. Her contributions to the firm transcend the comparative competitive model of self-evaluation as she adopts an inclusionary approach and vies for innovation and reformation. By initiating leader-to-follower dialogues, she is privy to intimate details of the firm and thus understands what necessitates its long-term success and sustainability. Within the cycle of conflict, Handel's humility and desire for growth threatens the success and activities of her partners, whose work is rooted in traditionalism and stagnant processes and policies. Overall, it is clear that generational differences between the key players has created dissonances in their viewpoints and methods of communication. Dissimilarities that will not easily be remedied by weekly scheduled meetings for the leading team. Hence, it is in the process of arbitration that we believe that all voices will be equally heard. The tripartite management of the law firm naturally unbalances the dynamic of power, making it easy for one member to be worked against. As members of my team have previously spoken on, dialogic is a requisite for resolution within this conflict, which is why we recommend a stricter and more rigorous approach to controlling conflict and rebuilding the polyphony between the firm's leaders. Undeniably, we reject Johnstone's outdated thinking, disagree with Weston's harsh leadership, and believe in Handel's plans for renovation and modernization. By this third-party assessment of arbitration, it is only the manner of conversation and treatment of each other that we wish to be mediated. As we ultimately advise that self-evaluations are undertaken, minor compromises are made, but Sarah Handel's ultimate goal for reformation is embraced and heard.
It is clear to us that the three senior partners at Patterson and Wilkins each bring an important trait to the table: dedication, authority, and humanity. In combination and agreement, this law firm and its leaders will be poised to overcome the challenges of the present and find fortune in their efforts for the future. By accepting our set of recommendations and achieving unity in management, this institution can relieve its afflictive past and embrace a new era of inclusivity, reform, and respect.